distinguished members of the merit. Chairperson Ma'am, Mrs. Indra Rani Sakra, Secretary Mr. Harikant Sir, Manager Mrs. Rashida Sakra, our highly respected Principal Ma'am, Ms. Rashmi Goyal, Vice Principal Ma'am, Mrs. Geeta Ji, delegates and delegates, honored teachers and dear students. I am Nitul Jati, a proud student of this institution, and it is with immense enthusiasm and profound administration that I welcome you all to the Model United Nations MUN 2024. Mahajanasya Sansargah Kasya Nonati Karkah Padam Patra Sthitam Potam Thate Mukta Parshaya. That is, a company of a great person is always beneficial. A drop of water on a lotus leaf in status similar to a pearl. For this event, we are honored to have our esteemed guest with us, Mr. Hemant Madhukar, Kulkarni, the Chief Scientist of IIT Mohtam, Dehradun, and Mr. Sanjay Jain, a renowned social worker and industrialist of Vikas. I would like to request Sneha to take over and tell more about our honored guests of the day. Jai Hind. Now it is the time for the tribute to the brilliance presenting our luminaries, the guests of the day among us. We have the distinct pleasure of introducing our truly outstanding individuals who are shining stars of our event today. It is with great honor and deep admiration that I present Mr. Sanjay Jain and Dr. Hemant Madhukar Kulkarni, whose remarkable contributions and achievements have been a feather in our cap, profoundly enriching our community. First up, we are absolutely delighted to welcome Mr. Dr. Hemant Madhukar Kulkarni sir, a beacon in the realm of science and technology. Born and raised in the bustling city of Mumbai and having scaled the heights of academic success. Dr. Kulkarni's journey from a Marathi medium government school to earning a degree in the biomedical engineering from the prestigious IIT Mumbai is nothing short of inspiring. With over 33 years of experience under his belt, his career has been a shining example of excellence. His work spans across the private sector, significant roles with the multilateral agencies like ADB and the World Bank, and impactful government positions. Dr. Kulkarni's expertise in the project finance, innovative entrepreneurship, and cutting-edge technology management is matched only by the deep-rooted passion for nature, as evident in his commitment to trekking and wildlife conservation. We are indeed standing on the shoulders of giants today, as we welcome Dr. Hemant Madhukar Kulkarni sir, a true pillar of knowledge and experience. We welcome you, sir. Next, it is with immense pleasure that I introduce Mr. Sanjay Jain sir, whose social contributions have been a breath of the fresh air in our society. A distinguished eminence of DAV PG College, Dehradun, Mr. Jain's academic brilliance earned him the prestigious National Scholarship Award from the Ministry of Education, that is SRD, Government of India. Trained as a tea taster at Carrier Modern House and Janji Corporate Limited, Canada. His expertise in the tea tasting has brought us the much-awaited Balwal Tea brand. Mr. Jain's remarkable achievements are not just confronted to his professional life. He wears many hats. As a former esteemed member of the Uttarakhand State Commission for Minorities, he has been a strong advocate for the rights and welfare of the marginalized communities. His visionary leadership as a conveyor of the Yamuna Jal variety has been instrumental in promoting the environmental sustainability. Mr. Jain's tireless efforts with a notable education and charitable organization, including B.N. James Girls Inter College, Asharam Vedic Inter College, Guru Nanak Mission Public School, Asharam, and Tilak Bhavan, underlying his unwavering dedication Mr. Jain is a truly man of all seasons. Please join me in giving him a warm and enthusiastic welcome to the exceptional Mr. Sapience HBT. Thank you, Sneha. We are excited to honor those who have greatly influenced our journey. I am delighted to invite our esteemed principal ma'am and distinguished management team to present a token of heartfelt love and gratitude to our special guests. Now, with heartfelt admiration, I invite the esteemed principal, Ms. Lakshmi Goyal. She is like the soul and energy, always felt but never seen. Her visionary leadership, steadfast commitment, and inspiring dedication have been transformative. Please, ma'am.
Today's guest, Mr. Himan, the scientist and the socially active person of the Vikas area, she is a lady. That goes a saying, Swasti Prajapati Paripalayanta, Nyayen Marget Mahim Manusha, Wo Brahmanekya Shubhavastu Nityam, Lokaha Samastha. Hence, if the great people are over there on the society, then automatically we all are leading, heading towards a happy world. So here we are having such prominent people among us, and I am sure, dear students, that they will be able to recognize your talent, and their feedback will be helping you to polish your capabilities and your qualities. M2N, that is Model United Nations. Actually, this is a concept which is now is being promoted by CBSE, and we, the Sapience over here, we have tried to introduce our students with the same process. You must be remembering that in the month of July, when Sapience was handled in the international level in Germany, at that time the team of India presented itself, and that also in multiple aspects. So, here also, I am sure that you will be getting the feel of all that, how you can present yourself, you can see how the General Assembly works, how the other commissions work, because United Nations is having its very important role in today's world. Peacekeeping also has become a challenge, and to face this challenge, to meet this challenge, we really need to learn more about how we can do with the pressure of the international organizations. And such international organization UN, which is active first as the League of Nations, now as the United is perfect. And you must be getting an insight about the future prospects of yourself. You never know. आप इसे कौन तरीके से स्टेशन अपने आप को दिखा देता है कि that you can represent our country in UN General Assembly or in any other committee. You never know. We can write not your future, but we can definitely help you to maintain your future towards the greater heights. So we are just trying to do that. Everybody should now be attentive how the proceedings are going on. Not only the people who are just a part of this event, the audience also should be just learning it. And I'm sure by the end of this session, you will definitely be more knowledgeable, more educated, and more aware about the international pressures and other things. Now, I will not take much of the time, and I just wish you all the best. All my team, the team that has just given its sweat to get all these things ready. Here, Vice Principal Ma'am, thank you very much. And our art director, Uma Ma'am, she is also a great success over here. Asha Ma'am, your team, Aparna, Neha, Moisa, Sushant, everybody. I'm really thankful for all these things to bring to the real stage. Now, I wish you all the best, my dear students. For whatever you are trying to do, you must get a success. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys, for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Because very many हमेशा teachers जो भी हैं, having a driving force, right since childhood. Also senior management, thank you for inviting me. आज का topic जो मुझे बताया था surprisingly, Model United Nations. What is the purpose of this session? This session to me is a learning for each of us. To focus on the issues that each of them is speaking. What was the problem? What are the issues that we have? How is going to impact? And the solution that you are offering, is it all inclusive? Is it in line with our foreign policy? Is it in line with our national security? ऐसे आप हर एंगल से lateral thinking करके, out of box thinking करके, you need to present. And the reason I am telling this upfront is because you must observe your colleagues, be it from friendly countries, be it from enemy countries, in this world. Live not only our friends, but also live along with our not so good friends or enemies. So, especially those whose opinions must look at the point that I put forward by the delegates. Look at the underlying logic, the underlying commitment, and underlying thought process. Because that's where you are going to learn. It is not about the knowledge that you are going to study. It is about your perception. It is about how you feel about the topic and how this particular delegate is able to effectively communicate and respond. And whether you are lining up thinking, are you hearing? I'm not going to go it, right? I just close this, but I just want to tell you that this is a session where we kind of identify your strengths, look at the options, look at some lateral thinking and ideas that these people are putting across, and most important, in what way effectively you can able to address it. Thank you very much. I'm here to learn, but also I'm getting your feedback as to what you feel about it. Thank you.
esteemed Principal Ma'am and the dedicated school management, who recognized its profound value in fostering a deeper understanding of global issues and promoting active, informed global citizenship among students. Let's commence the proceedings with UN anthem that blends 194 anthems in one tone. I kindly request everyone to please stand up in their respective places for the anthem.
पहले वहाँ दिखाओ चलने दो
Everyone, please take your seats now. And now, without further ado, I request the delegates to begin our session 1, which is the United Nations General Assembly, and engage with dedication and enthusiasm. Let's make this annual a memorable and impactful experience.
Good morning, distinguished delegates of United Nations. The meeting of General Assembly is called to order. Delegates, you must note that the time allotted to each speaker is 4 minutes. You are requested not to exceed the limit. Before proceeding to general debate, as announced in the General, the Secretary General of the United Nations will introduce you by the working of United Nations Organization. I now give the floor to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Cassandra Guterres.
Mr. President of General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, many of the world challenges collapsed in an awful hellscape. Thousands of people in China, Libya, lost their lives in epic, unprecedented flood, victim of year of conflict, victim of climate chaos, victim of leaders near and far who failed to find a way to peace. The people of China lived and died in the epicenter of this indifference, as the skies unleashed 100 times the monthly rainfall in 24 hours. As dams broke after the war ended,
Our world is becoming unhinged. Geopolitical tensions are rising. Global challenges are mounting. And we seem incapable of coming together to respond. We come confronted to a host of existential threats, from the climate crisis to the disruptive technologies, and we do so at a time of chaotic transition. Our country needs statesmanship, not gamemanship, and gridlock. Leaders have a special responsibility to achieve compromise in building a common future of peace and prosperity for our common good. Excellencies, it starts with the determination to uphold the Charter Pledge for Peace. Yet, instead of ending this curse of war, we are seeing surge to conflict, coups, and chaos. If every country fulfills its obligation under the Charter, the right to peace will be guaranteed. When countries break those pledges, they create a world of insecurity for everyone. The war and coalition of the United Nations Charter and international law has unleashed a naked of foreign, lives destroyed, human rights abused, families torn apart, children traumatized, hopes and dreams shattered. But beyond Ukraine, the war has serious implications for us all. Israel and Palestine conflict. People are losing their lives and children are in pathetic condition. Nuclear threat put us all at risk. Ignoring global treaties and conventions make us all lazy. We must not relate in working for peace or just peace in line with the UN Charter and international law. And even when fighting rages, we must pursue every avenue and ease to the suffering of civilians in Ukraine and beyond. The Black Sea Initiative was one such evidence. The world badly needs Ukrainian food, Russian food and fertilizer to stabilize market and guarantee food security, and I will not give up all my effort to make it happen. Excellencies, we must be determined to tackle the most immediate threat to our future, our overheating planet. Climate change is not just changing weather. Climate change is changing life on our planet. It is affecting every aspect of our world. It is killing people and devastating communities. Around the world, we not only see the accelerating temperature, we see an acceleration in sea level rise. Glaciers receding, deadly disease spreading, and cities underground. This is only the beginning. We have just survived the hottest days, the hottest months, and the hottest summer on the earth. Behind every broken record are broken economies, broken lives, and whole nation at the breaking point. Every continent, every region, and every country is feeling the heat. There is still time to keep rising temperature within the 1.5 degree limit of the Paris Agreement. G20 countries are responsible for 80% of greenhouse emissions. They must be. Excellencies, we must move fast in many things. New technologies require new and innovative form of governance, with input from expert built in this technology, inform those monitoring its abuses. And we urgently need a global digital compact between government, regional organization, private sector, and civil society to mitigate the risk of digital technologies and identify ways to harness the benefit for the good of humanity. Some have called for consideration of a new global entity on AI that will provide a source of information and expertise for member states. Let us determine to heal disease and enforce peace, determine to uphold the dignity of every person, determine to realize the sustainable development goals and effectively leave no one behind, determine to reform multilateralism for 21st century and come together for the common future. Thank you.
The Assembly will now turn to Agenda Item 1. The Assembly will now hear an address by Her Excellency Sida Gonçalves, Ministry of Women, the Federative Republic of Brazil, and I request the protocol to escort Her Excellency. behalf of General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome Her Excellency Sina Gonçalves, Ministry of Women, the Federative Republic of Brazil, and to invite her to address the Assembly.
Honorable Chair, fellow colleagues, today let's talk about cybersecurity. In today's digital age, cybersecurity is a pressing concern that affects us all. As we increasingly rely on technology, our vulnerabilities to cyber threat grows. It's a threat that knows no borders, no ideology, and no socio-economic boundaries. As a nation, we recognize the gravity of this issue. Our critical infrastructure, intellectual property, and sensitive information are all at risk. The consequences of the cyber attacks are devastating. Compromise, national security, economic instability, and erosion of trust in institutions. According to various sources, including cyber security reports and threat intelligence, Brazil has been a target for cyber attacks, with 19.44% of computers in the country being attacked by phishing and significant number of more cyber attacks in recent years. Here's an overview of the current Brazil's condition involving threat landscapes, ransomware attacks, phishing and social engineering, data breaches, DDoS attacks, malware and trojans. The country's cybersecurity vulnerabilities include lack of cybersecurity awareness, outdated systems and software, insufficient security measures, and poor incident response. In response to these problems, Brazil has introduced laws and regulations such as General Data Protection Law to safeguard personal data and ensure compliance with data protection standards. Thus, the IGARP Institute launched the Brazilian Cybersecurity Portal aiming to gather knowledge for collective action for a safer digital environment. The portal integrates knowledge for collective and multi-sectoral action. It is the first national repository dedicated to cybersecurity governance. However, the progress is still needed, especially to strengthen cooperation between civil society, the academic community, public authority, and the private sector. Cybersecurity is not just a technical issue. It's a matter of international cooperation, diplomacy, and collective action. We call the nations to unite to build a cyber-secure world, where nations can protect their sovereignty, business can innovate, land thrive, and individuals can safely navigate the digital world. To leverage technology from leading countries to reduce cybercrime, we must work together to establish robust legal frameworks to prevent and respond to cyber threats. According to the 2024 NCSI National Cybersecurity Index CEI report that Finland, Norway, Denmark has the strongest final cybersecurity scores above 92. And I suggest these countries to develop and share best practices in cybersecurity among their other countries. Next, enhance international cooperation and information sharing, promote education and awareness about cyber hygiene and online security, attracting foreign investment to bring advanced technologies and expertise. I also suggest the most targeted countries of cyber crimes to adopt global standards like MNST Cybersecurity Framework or ISO 2700 to ensure alignment with best practices. We must also address the root cause of cyber insecurity, the digital divide, lack of education and awareness, and inadequate investment in cybersecurity infrastructure. We owe it to ourselves, our citizens, and future generations to act now. Let us adopt the resolutions and more commitment to cybersecurity worldwide. Thank you.
I wish to thank the delegate of Federative Republic of Brazil for the statement just made, and I request the protocol to escort Her Excellency. The Assembly will now hear an address by Her Excellency Khushi Gogia, Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, and I request the protocol to escort Her Excellency. On behalf of General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome Her Excellency Khushi Gogia, Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, and to invite her to address the Assembly.
Honorable Mr. President and all the excellencies, India has been actively engaged in the adoption and implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals since their inception in 2015. The Sustainable Development Goals align with India's national development priorities
and the country has made significant progress in achieving these goals. Transforming our world, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The agenda is a plan of action for people, planning and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and larger freedom. All countries and all stakeholders acting in collaborative partnership will implement this plan. As we embark on this collective journey, we pledge that no one will be left behind. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets, which we are announcing today, demonstrate sustainable development goals. We commit ourselves to working tirelessly for the full implementation of the agenda by 2030. Here some key achievements are: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitization, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, reasonable consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institutions. Partnership for the goals. India has collaborated with international partners to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, including the India-UN Development Partnership Fund. Here is a global perspective on the 17 Sustainable Goals progress. The world has made significant progress in reducing poverty and improving access healthcare and education. Renewable energy capacity has grown and energy efficiency has improved. More people have access to clean water and sanitation, and efforts to protect marine and terrestrial ecosystem have increased. Some challenges are: climate change remains a pressing issue with rising greenhouse gas emissions and intensifying natural disasters. Inequality persists, with widening gaps in wealth, income and opportunities. Conflict and violence continue to affect many regions, hindering progress on multiple goals. Biodiversity loss and deforestation remain significant concerns. Access to quality education and healthcare remains unequal, particularly for marginalized communities. Some regional perspectives are: Africa, focus on economic growth, infrastructures, development and access to energy. Asia, emphasis on sustainable urbanization, climate action and reducing inequality. Europe, prioritizing climate action, sustainable consumption and protecting biodiversity. Latin America, focus on reducing inequality, improving access to education and healthcare and protecting natural resources. North America, emphasis on climate action, sustainable infrastructure and reducing inequality. Some global initiatives are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Agenda 2030, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, the Addis Ababa Action Agenda on Financing for Development, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. Some future directions are: increased global cooperation and partnerships, enhanced data collection and monitoring, integration of sustainable development goals into national policies and development plans, mobilization of financing and resources, emphasis on leaving no one behind and ensuring inclusivity. At last, I conclude that India has made significant progress in achieving the sustainable development goals, but challenges persist, and the global community also has made progress on sustainable development goals, but challenges persist. Continued collaboration, innovation and commitment are necessary to achieve the ambitious and create a sustainable future for all. I call the member nation to come forward in achieving sustainable development goals for better future. Thank you.
I wish to thank the delegate of India for the statement just made, and I request the protocol to escort her excellency. Now, our last speaker of the day is Her Excellency Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Union, and I I request the protocol to escort Her Excellency. On behalf of General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome Her Excellency Ursula von der Leyen, President of European Union, and to invite her to address the Assembly.
Good morning. It's summertime. The living is no longer easy. This has been a week of unprecedented heat. First, the European Union Copernicus Climate Change Service declared July 21st as the hottest day on record. Then on July 22nd, the mercury climbed even higher. And then, CDC data indicating that July 23rd was in the same range. In other words, these days were the 3 hottest days on record. But let's face facts. Extreme temperatures are no longer a 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month phenomenon. Earth is becoming hotter and more dangerous for everyone, everywhere. This year, we have seen a deadly heat waves hit the Sahel with spiking hospitalizations and deaths, and broken temperature records across the United States, reportedly placing 120 million people under heat advisory warnings. Shut down tourist attractions in European bedrock cities. Scorching conditions have killed 1,300 pilgrims during Hajj, and closed schools across Asia and Africa, impacting more than 80 million children. We know what is driving it. Fossil fuel charge, human-induced climate change, and we know it's going to get worse. The number of climate-related disasters has tripled in the last 30 years. Between 2006 and 2016, the rate of global sea level rise was 2.5 times faster than it was for the almost 20th century. In March 2019, Cyclone Idai took the lives of more than 1,000 people across Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Mozambique in southern Africa, and it devastated millions more who were left destitute without food and basic services. The start of 2020 found Australia in the midst of its worst ever bushfire season, following from its hottest year on record, which has left soil and fuels exceptionally dry. Higher sea temperature linked to climate change have doubled the likelihood of drought in the Horn of Africa region. Severe droughts in 2011, 2017, and 2019 have repeatedly wiped out crops and livestock. Over the last years, deadly floods and landslides have forced 12 million people from their homes in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. The tackle of all these symptoms, we need to fight the disease. The disease is the madness of insecurity on only home. The disease is the addiction to fossil fuels. The disease is the climate inaction. Leaders across the board must wake up and step up. They act as though our future depends on it, because it does. All countries must deliver by next year nationally determined contributions or national climate action plans aligned to global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The International Energy Agency has shown that fossil fuel expansion and new coal plants are inconsistent with meeting that limit. I must call out the flood of fossil fuel expansion we are seeing in some of the world's wealthiest countries. In signing such a surge of new oil and gas licenses, they are signing away our futures. The leadership of those with the greatest capabilities and capacities is essential. Countries must phase out fossil fuels fast and fairly. They must add new coal projects. The G20 must shift fossil fuel subsidies to renewables and support vulnerable countries and communities. And national climate action plans must show how each country will contribute to the global goals agreed at COP28 to triple the world's renewable capacity and deforestation by 2030. They must also cut global consumption and production to fossil fuels by 30% in the same time frame, and bringing similar 1.5 transition plans from business, the financial sector, cities and regions, following the recommendation of my high-level expert on net zero. Climate actions also require finance action. Finance to help safeguard communities from climate chaos is essential. And I how they will close the capital addiction finance gap. Second, we must step up protection for workers. Third, we must massively boost the resilience of economies and societies using data and science. Countries, cities, and sectors need comprehensive tailored climate action plans based on the best science and data. And we need a concerted effort to heat-proof economies, critical sectors, and the built environment. The message is clear. The heat is on. Extreme climate change is having an extreme impact on people and planet. The world must rise to challenge of rising temperature. Thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the delegate of European Union for the statement just made, and I request the protocol to escort her excellence. Delegates, we will continue the general debate tomorrow. The meeting for the day is adjourned.
It is a great honor to introduce our esteemed and visionary chairperson, Ma'am, Ms. Indra Rani Sapra. Compassionate guidance and support has been truly inspiring. Please join me in welcoming the chairperson, Ma'am, to share her uplifting and insightful words of blessing. Please.
बहुत पहले तो शुक्रिया अदा धन्यवाद करूँगी आज तो मेरे मुख्य अतिथि के ऊपर जिन्होंने हमारे बच्चों का प्रोत्साहन बढ़ाने के लिए अपना इतना सुंदर कीमती समय निकाल के हम लोग को दिया है। मैं तहे दिल से आप लोग को शुक्रिया करती हूँ। नेक्स्ट फिर अपनी प्रिंसिपल मैम और अपने स्टाफ जितना हमारा टीचर स्टाफ है जो आप लोगों को इस तरह से अच्छी तरह से तैयारी करवाते हैं उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करूंगी क्योंकि आप बच्चे हमारे देश का भविष्य हैं। आज के टाइम में आप लोग को हर तरफ से जागृत रहना बहुत जरूरी है और उसी सब को हम लोग को करने के लिए हम टाइम टाइम पर कुछ ना कुछ स्कूल में आप लोगों की तरफ से तैयारी कराई जाती है और आप बच्चे पूरा अपना एफर्ट्स डाल के पूरा प्रदर्शन करते हैं। बड़ा सुंदर बच्चों ने अभी अपना प्रदर्शन किया और सुना। आई थिंक आजकल हर यूथ को किसी भी उम्र में आप बच्चे हैं अलर्ट रहने की जरूरत है। कुछ भी क्राइम हमारे साथ अपने आप नहीं होता है, उसके लिए हम लोग छूट देते हैं उस चीज। इसलिए बच्चों हमें जरूरी है कि हम हर जगह घर में बाहर समाज में जहाँ भी हमें अलर्ट होकर निकलें और अपने पेरेंट्स का अपने समाज का अपने देश का अपने शिक्षकों का अपने विद्यालय का ध्यान रखें और उस भगवान का धन्यवाद करें कि आप आज एक मानव जन्म में पैदा हुए हैं संसार में और आपको सारी समझ है। क्योंकि हम इसलिए हर एक सरल है कि हमें भगवान ने बुद्धि अलग से उस बुद्धि को यूज करना हमारे हाथ में कि हमें गाइडेंस तो सबको ही देगा लेकिन अलर्ट आप लोग को अपने मन से रहना है कि हमारे लिए क्या ठीक है क्या गलत है। ना आपको आपके पेरेंट्स पक्का देखेंगे ना आपके टीचर्स देखेंगे, सिर्फ आपका सेल्फ चेकिंग आप लोगों को देखेंगे कि आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं। मेरा आप लोगों से भी निवेदन है कि आप लोग इस चीज का ध्यान रखें और अपना फ्यूचर सोचते हुए देश का भविष्य बनाए अपना बनाए। बस इतना कहते हुए मैं अपनी वाणी को विश्राम दूंगी और आप लोगों को बहुत बहुत बधाई दूंगी और आप लोग अपना कार्यक्रम कंटिन्यू करें। थैंक यू।
Thank you, ma'am, for your remarkable words. And now, without further delay, I request the delegates to begin our session 2, which is the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Morning delegates, welcome to the session of Modern United Nations Human Rights Council 2024. We will commence today's session with roll call. Delegates, when our country's name is called, please say present. Delegate of Ukraine, Delegate of Russian Federation.
Present.
Delegate of USA.
Present.
Delegate of UK.
Present.
Delegate of South Korea.
Present.
Delegate of Argentina.
Present.
Delegate of Brazil.
Present.
Delegate of Egypt.
Present.
Delegate of India.
Present.
Delegate of Israel.
Present.
Delegate of Palestine.
Present.
Delegate of Germany.
Present.
Delegate of France.
Present.
Delegate of Poland.
Present.
Delegate of Iraq.
Present.
Delegate of Belarus.
Present.
Delegate of Austria.
Present.
Delegate of UAE.
Present.
Delegate of China. Delegate of Ireland.
Present.
Delegate of Denmark.
Present.
Delegate of Sweden. Delegate of Turkey.
Present.
Delegate of Mexico. Delegate of Iran.
Present.
Delegate of Hungary.
Present.
Delegate of South Africa. Delegate of Italy.
Present.
Delegate of Australia.
Present.
Delegate of Spain. Thank you, delegates, for answering the roll call. Delegates, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of Germany, you are recognized. To what point do you rise?
Motion to set the agenda, sir.
What agenda would you like to set?
To discuss the situation of Ukraine on Russia's aggression.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any seconds to the motion proposed by the delegate of Germany? Delegate of Poland, you have been recognized. What point do you rise?
Second. Second is motion, sir.
Are there any objections to this motion? Seeing none, the motion is now in order. Thank you, delegate. The motion has been proposed and seconded. We will now be adopting the topic, the situation in Russia and Ukraine. Delegates, we will now be moving into speakers list. All delegates who would like to include their country in the speakers list, please raise their placards now. Delegate of Ukraine, you have been recognized. Delegate of Russian Federation, you have been recognized. Delegate of UK, you have been recognized. Delegates, due to high time constraints, we will now pause speakers list, but if any delegate would like to include their name in the speakers list, please send a written sheet to the head table. Thank you, delegates. Delegate of Ukraine, you now have the floor for the time period of 5 minutes.
With the prior permission of the head table, the delegate in the House, today we gathered here to discuss the extremely relevant issue of Russian aggression over Ukraine. I welcome all who stand for common efforts, and I promise, being really united, we can guarantee fair peace for all nations. What's more, united can prevent war. Ladies and gentlemen, this hall saw many wars, but not as active defender against aggression. In many cases, the fear of war, the final war, was the loudest hail. The war after which no one would gather in the General Assembly Hall again. 20th century taught the world to the mass destruction, not to deploy, not to proliferate, not to fail with, not to tend, but to promote complete nuclear disarmament. Frankly, this is a good strategy, but it should not only the strategy to protect the world from this final war. Ukraine gave up its third largest nuclear arsenal. The world then decided Russia should become a keeper of such power. Yet, history shows it was Russia who deserved nuclear disarmament the most back in 1990s. Russia deserves it now. Terrorists have no right to hold weapons. But truly, not the nukes are the scariest now. While the nukes remain in place, the mass destruction is gaining its momentum. The aggression is weaponizing many other things, and those things are used not only are against our country, but against all of you as well as fellow leaders. There are many conventions that restrict weapons, but there are no real restriction on weaponization. When countries is weaponized Croatia, I presented the full formula, and over the past year, these formula became the basics of an existing security architecture. Now, we can bring back to life UN Connected and guarantee the full power of the rule-based world order. The main thing is that it is not about Ukraine. More than 140 states have and international organizations have supported Ukrainian peace formula fully or in part. The Ukrainian peace formula is becoming global. Its point of solution and steps that will stop forms of weaponization that Russia used against Ukraine and other countries and may be used by other aggressors. It on the format of meetings between the national security advisors and diplomatic representatives. Important talks and consultations were held in the Hiroshima, in Copenhagen and Jeddah on the implementation of the peace formula, and we are preparing the global peace summit. Let unity decide everything openly. While Russia is pushing the world to the final wall, Ukraine is doing everything to ensure that after Russian aggression, no one in the world will dare to attack any nation. Weaponization must be restrained. War crime must be punished. Deported people must stand back home, and the occupier must learn to their own land. We must be united to make it. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you.
Delegate of Russian Federation, what point you guys?
Wise to reply, sir.
On what grounds delegate?
On grounds that Russian Federation sovereignty has been infringed upon.
Granted, delegate. You may now have the floor.
My interest concerns the events in Ukraine and why this is important for us, for Russia. The matter is very serious and needs to be discussed in depth. I would like to emphasize again that Ukraine is not just a neighboring country for us. It is an inalienable part of our own history, culture and spiritual space. These are our comrades, those dearest to us, not only colleagues, friends and people who once served, but also relatives, people bound by blood, by family ties. According to international organization, in 2019, almost 6 million Ukrainians, and precise about the 6%, not of the workforce, but of the entire population of that country had to go abroad to find work. Most of them do odd jobs. The following fact is also revealing since 2020, over 60,000 doctors and other health workers have left the country amid the pandemic. In addition, the United States directly controls the National Agency on Corruption Prevention, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office and High Anti-Corruption Court. All this is done under the noble pretext of intimidation efforts against corruption. All right, but where are the efforts? Corruption is flourishing like never before. Are the Ukrainian people aware that this is how their country is being managed? Do they realize that their country has turned not even into a political or economic protectorate, but also has been reduced to a colony with a puppet regime? The state has been privatized as a result. The government, which designates itself as the power of patriots, no longer acts into a national capacity and consistently pushes Ukraine towards losing its sovereignty. Over the past few years, military contingents of NATO countries have been almost constantly present on the Ukrainian territory under the pretext of exercise. The Ukrainian troop control system has already been integrated into NATO. This means that NATO headquarters can issue direct command to Ukrainian armed forces, even to their separate units and squads. The United States and NATO have started an evident development of Ukrainian territory as a threat of potential military operations. Their regular joint exercises are obviously anti-Russian. Last year alone, over 23,000 troops and more than 1,000 units of hardware were involved. A law has already been adopted that allows foreign troops to come to Ukraine in 2022 to take part in multinational drills. Understandably, these are primarily NATO troops. At least 10 of these drills are planned. Kyiv
has no longer proclaimed a strategic course on joining NATO. Indeed, each country is entitled to pick its own security system and enter into military alliances. A number of NATO members states are still very skeptical about Ukraine joining NATO. We are getting signals from some European capitals telling us not to worry, as it will not going to happen literally overnight. In fact, our US partners are saying the same thing as well. Alright, then we reply. If it does not happen tomorrow, then it will happen the day after tomorrow. What does it change from the historical perspective? Nothing at all. Today, one glance at map is enough to see to what extent Western countries have kept their promises. They just cheated. Eastward expansion, they just cheated. There have been 5 waves of NATO expansion, one after another. Poland, the Czech Republic and Hungary were admitted in 1999. Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia and Slovenia in 2004. Albania and Croatia in 2009, Montenegro in 2017 and Macedonia in 2020. The United States and NATO responded with general statement. There were kernels of rationality in them as well, but they concerned the matter of secondary importance, and it all looked like an attempt to drag the issue out and to lead the discussion as. In this regard, I consider it necessary to take a long overdue decision and to immediately recognize the independence and sovereignty of the Donetsk People Republic and the Lugansk People Republic. We want those who seize and continue to hold power in Kiev to immediately stop hostilities. Otherwise, the responsibility of the possible continuation of bloodshed will entirely lie on the conscience of Ukraine's ruling regime. As I announce the decision taken today, I remain confident in the support of Russia's citizens and the country's patriotic forces. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Russian Federation. You may now have your seat. Delegate of Ukraine, due to time constraints, we will not entertain a response from you. Please be kind enough to give your response in the form of a check. Thank you, Delegate of Ukraine. Delegates, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of France, to what point you rise?
The delegate of France would like to raise a motion to set agenda on ongoing Israel and Palestine conflict.
Thank you, Delegate. That is in order. Any delegate against this motion? Seeing none. Delegates, we now have moved into formal committee session with the agenda set as the Israel-Palestine conflict. We now move into speakers list. First, we will invite the delegate of Israel over the dais to speak over the matter. Delegate of Israel, you have 3 minutes. Please begin.
Permission of that cable and panel delegates. As we all know, Israel continues to face significant security challenges and threat to existence. The situation on the ground remains complex and volatile, with ongoing terrorism and incitement, and regional instability. Palestine terrorism, including rocket attack from Gaza and stabbing attack in the West Bank, and continues to target Israeli civilians and soldiers. Widespread incitement and hate speech by Palestinian leaders and media fuel the cycle of violence and undermine peace efforts. Israel's right to build and settle in its own land is under constant attack. In Jerusalem and the West Bank, attempt to undermine Israel's sovereignty over its capital city, Jerusalem continues with Palestine claim to the city and international effort to divide it. Israel's right to self-defense and security must be respected, particularly in the international community. Israel's sovereignty and legitimacy as a Jewish state must be recognized and respected in the international community. Palestine must contribute their contributions under previous agreements, including hardening incitement and terrorism, efforts to promote regional stability and cooperation, particularly with Arab states, must be supported. The international security and recognize its sovereignty and legitimacy. Palestine must be held accountable for their actions, including terrorism and incitement. Direct negotiations between Israel and Palestine without precondition are essential for achieving our last goals. Regional cooperation and diplomacy, particularly with Arab states, and promote stability and security. At last, I assure everyone that Israel committed peace, security and prosperity for its citizens and the region. However, it cannot compromise on its fundamental rights and security. The international community must recognize and support its real legitimacy and consent to work toward a realistic and sustainable solution to the conflict. Thank you.
Now have your seat. Delegate of Palestine, to what point you rise?
Rise to reply, sir.
On what grounds, delegate?
On the ground that Israel is violating 1948 genocide convention killing thousands of Palestinians.
Granted, delegate. You may now have the floor for 3 minutes.
Honorable Mr. President and all the excellencies, as we all are aware of that, the Palestinian people continue to face immense challenges and hardship due to ongoing Israeli occupation. The situation on the ground remains dire with escalating violence, displacement and human rights abuses. Israel's military aggression in the Gaza Strip has resulted in significant loss of life, injury and destruction of infrastructure. The recent airstrikes and artillery attacks have targeted civilian areas including homes, schools and hospitals. Israel's continued construction of settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem undermines the prospects for a two-state solution. These illegal settlements fragment Palestinian land, restrict movement and exacerbate tensions. The Gaza Strip remains under a suffocating blockade, limiting access to basic necessities like food, medicine and fuel. Movement restrictions and checkpoints in the West Bank hinder economic development and daily life. Israel's detention of Palestinians, including children, continues unabated. Reports of torture, mistreatment and denial of due process are widespread. Israel's expropriation of Palestinian land for settlement, expansion, military purposes and the construction of separation barrier further erodes Palestinian territory. Now, our major concerns are the international community must ensure the protection of Palestinian civilians, particularly in Gaza, from Israeli military aggression. The occupation must end and Palestinians must be recognized as a sovereign state with its territorial integrity respected. Israel's systematic human rights abuses, including secular violence, must be addressed and perpetrators held accountable. The rights of Palestinian refugees, including the right of return, must be acknowledged and implemented. We request and recommend first, the international community must intervene to stop Israel's aggression and ensure a ceasefire. Second, revitalize diplomatic efforts to achieve a just and lasting solution based on international law and UN resolutions. Third, provide economic support to Palestine to alleviate the humanitarian crisis and foster development. Fourth, hold Israel accountable for its action, including through sanctions and legal measures. At last, I conclude that the Palestinian people continue to face unprecedented flooding. It is imperative that the international community takes concrete actions to address the root cause of this conflict and supports Palestine's quest for self-determination, justice and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. You may now have your seat. Delegates, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of Egypt, to what point to rise?
Propose a moderate caucus topic, Your Honor.
State the moderate caucus topic, delegates.
Food security, specific areas.
Thank you, delegate. And how much time do you allocate?
10 minutes with 2 minutes per speaker.
Delegate, a modern caucus topic has been proposed by the delegate of Egypt. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, are there any objections to this motion? Seeing none, we have now adopted this moderate caucus topic. Delegate of Egypt, by default, you now have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to address a pressing issue that affects millions of lives. It's food security in conflicting areas. This issue is of paramount importance in our region, where political tension, armed conflict, and economic instability continues to disrupt the lives of millions of people. Especially, I would like to focus on the role of Egypt in tackling food security within the border of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. The importance of food security. Food security is a fundamental human right. It is the cornerstone of stability, peace, and development. Without access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, communities cannot thrive. Unfortunately, conflict zones often become an epicenter of food insecurity, with vulnerable population bearing the burden of the crisis. This situation in Gaza and the West Bank is a stark reminder of how conflict can devastate the availability and accessibility of food. Egypt's strategic role as a regional leader and a nation with a deep historical connection to both Israel and Palestine, Egypt has a unique role to play in addressing food security in the conflict-riddled areas. Our country has been a key mediator in the peace process to bring stability to the region. However, beyond diplomacy, Egypt's responsibility extends to humanitarian efforts, particularly in ensuring that food reaches those who need it most. Humanitarian assistance and border management. One of the critical areas where Egypt can make a significant impact is through the management of its border, particularly the Rafah crossing, which serves as a vital lifeline for the people of Gaza by facilitating the flow of food, medical supplies, and other essential goods. Egypt can help alleviate the dire conditions faced by many Palestinians. This requires close cooperation with international organizations, ensuring that aid is delivered effectively and without unnecessary delays. Advocacy for peace. Finally, it is crucial to acknowledge lasting food security can only be achieved in an environment of peace and stability. Egypt remains committed to advocating for a peace resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We believe that a two-state solution where both Israel and Palestinians can live in peace and security is the only viable path forward. By promoting peace, we create the conditions necessary for sustainable development, including food security. In conclusion, tackling food security is complex and challenging task, but it is one that Egypt is committed to addressing. By managing our borders effectively, supporting local agriculture, and working closely with international partners, we can make a meaningful difference in the life of those affected by Israel-Palestine conflict. Let us all work together to ensure that food security is not just a dream, but a reality for everyone in the region. Thank you.
Delegate, you may now have the floor. You may now have your seat. Next in the list, we have delegate of Iraq.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow delegates, today I stand before you to address an issue of profound importance, food security in conflict zones, particularly in Iraq, and how this is impacted by the broader regional instability, including the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As we know, food security is a fundamental human right, yet it remains a distant dream for many living in war-torn areas.
diverts attention and resources from critical issues like food security and perpetuate a cycle of violence and instability. In Iran, this instability disturbs supply chains, leading to food shortage, price hikes, and a strain on already limited resources, strategies for addressing food security. So, how do we tackle this? First and foremost, we must strengthen local agriculture by investing in resilient farming practices such as drought-resistant crops and improved water management. We can empower local communities to produce their own food even in the face of adversity. This not only reduces dependency on external aid but also builds long-term resilience. Humanitarian aid remains crucial, but it must be coordinated effectively. We need to enhance collaboration between international organizations, NGOs, and local government to ensure that food and resources reach those who need them most, and in a timely manner. In conflict zones, time is often a matter of life and death. Looking beyond immediate needs, we must focus on long-term development plans. Education and vocational training in agriculture and food management can equip individuals with the skills needed to build sustainable food systems. Economic diversification is also critical. By reducing dependence on food imports, we can make local economies more resilient to the shock of conflict. Regional collaboration is another avenue we must explore. By fostering cooperation between neighboring countries, we can create a network of support that ensures food security even in the darkest of times. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You may now have your seat. Next in the list, we have delegate of UK.
Fellow delegates, today I stand before you to discuss an issue that has far-reaching consequences not only for those who directly impacted, but for the global community as a whole. That is food security in conflict zones. In particular, I want to focus on the ongoing situation in Israel and Palestine and the crucial role that the United Kingdom can play in addressing this challenge. Conflict disrupts every aspect of life, and one of the most immediate and devastating impacts is on food security. In regions like Israel and Palestine, where tension and violence have persisted for decades, ensuring access to food becomes a daily struggle for many. Families are often displaced, agricultural infrastructure is destroyed, and access to basic necessities is severely limited. This creates a vicious cycle of poverty, malnutrition, and dependency on external aid. As a nation with significant influence on the global stage, UK has both a responsibility and an opportunity to make a meaningful impact on Israel and Palestine. Our commitment to human rights, international law, and humanitarian aid must guide our actions in this regard. Firstly, UK can continue to support and expand its humanitarian assistance in the region. This involves not only providing immediate food aid, but also investing in reconstruction of agricultural infrastructure, supporting local food production, and ensuring that food security is not disrupted by conflict. Our aid must be strategic, focusing on long-term solutions, and empower local communities to become self-sufficient. Secondly, UK must advocate for protection of civilians and preservation of their access to essential resources during conflicts. This means pushing for adherence to international humanitarian law, which prohibits targeting of civilian infrastructure, including farms and markets. UK should use its diplomatic channels to press for ceasefires and peace negotiations that prioritize the well-being of civilians and address the root causes of food insecurity. Finally, it is important to remember that food security is not just a technical or logistical challenge, but it is also a moral imperative. Every person, regardless of where they live, has the right to adequate food and nutrition. In conflict zones like Israel and Palestine, where human cost of war is all too apparent, we must act with urgency and compassion. UK's commitment to food security in conflict zones is a testament to our values as a nation. It reflects our belief in dignity of every human being and our resolve to stand with those who are most vulnerable. Let us continue to lead by example, showing that even in the face of conflict, we can work towards a future where everyone has access to the food they need to survive and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. You can take your seat. Next in the list, we have delegate of South Korea.
The prior permission of the head table and the fellow delegates, the government of the Republic of Korea expresses its deep concern over the recent Israeli military operation and its additional plan in Rafah in the Gaza Strip, where approximately 1.4 million people are sheltered. In addition, the Republic of Korea government calls on all parties to the Israel-Hamas armed conflict to protect civilians in accordance with international law and to fully implement relevant UN Security Council resolution. The government is continuing to work with international communities to achieve improvements in the humanitarian situation in Gaza and to contribute to a swift resolution of the conflict. South Korea called for a political solution to prevent conflict between Israel and Palestine's military group Hamas from spreading further. In what appears to be a balancing effort considering the two-state solution to the Arab world, Israel and United States. The two-state solution is a proposed framework for resolving Israeli-Palestinian conflict, establishing two states for two peoples, Israel for Jews and Palestine for Palestinians. This was highlighted by the 1993 of the accord between then Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and the Palestinian Liberation Organization negotiator Mahmoud Abbas, who is now the president of the Palestine. Children in the state of Palestine have grown up under the shadow of frequent violence and Russian poverty. Today, children in the Gaza Strip face the deadly effects of diseases and malnutrition as ongoing conflicts cut them off from safe water, food and medicines. Thousands of children have been killed and injured. Children have been reported to hospitals with severe injuries and wounds. Even before this latest escalation, more than 50,000 children in the Gaza facing needy mental health care and psychosocial support. In late 2024, an integrated food security council (IPC) report found that 96% of the population facing acute food insecurity, including 500,000 people in gastric condition. A high risk of famine persists across the whole Gaza Strip as long as the conflict continues and humanitarian access is restricted. South Korea permanently supports the peaceful resolution of the crisis. Thank you.
Next in the list, we have delegate of Russia.
With the prior permission of the head table and method delegates, the Russian Federation condemned the fighting in Gaza as a total destruction of the civilian population. A total 96% of the population of Gaza is facing acute food insecurity, with 2.15 million people at crisis levels of hunger or worse. Almost 500,000 of these are in catastrophic conditions. In free food deliveries to the north and nutrition services have helped to reduce the very worst levels of hunger. However, a high risk of a mine persists across the whole Gaza Strip as long as the conflict continues. The World Food Programme is providing assistance to over 1 million people across Gaza each month. However, the limited aid and feeding southern and central Gaza, WFP has been forced to provide reduced rations and prioritize providing hot meals, especially to newly displaced families from Rafah. To truly turn the corner and prevent famine, adequate and sustained levels of humanitarian assistance must be provided. Efforts to restore law and order are crucial for an effective humanitarian response to meet soaring needs. The warning comes despite months of U.S. pressure on Israel to do more to facilitate aid efforts. The installation of a $230 million U.S.-built pier that has been beset by the problems and repeated airdrops by multiple countries that aid agencies say are insufficient to meet vital needs. They call for instant ceasefire in Gaza region and urge other nations to help the people of Palestine and Gaza in rehabilitation. Thank you.
Delegates, you can take your seat. Now the speeches to the moderated caucus submitted. Delegates, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of France, to what point you rise?
Motion to move into unmoderated caucus.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any seconds to the motion? Delegate of China, you have been recognized to second the motion. Thank you, delegate. Are there any objections to the motion? Seeing none, there are no objections. We will now move into unmoderated caucus. We have received a resolution sponsored by the delegate of USA. We will now discussing the resolution. Delegate of USA, you may have the floor for the 2 minutes.
With prior permission of the head table and delegates, on October 7, Hamas terrorists launched a terrorist attack that killed 1,200 people in Israel, including 35 women. It was a brutal and horrific massacre. Babies and Holocaust survivors were young people who were simply attending a concert were shot dead. 240 people were abducted from the and over them, the past 8 weeks, the stand of our government is clear. Israel has a right to defend itself, and we will remain steadfast in that conviction. We are working with Israel and our partners in the region to secure the release of all the hostages, which includes Americans. The recent pause in the fighting took effect. More than 100 hostages were united with their families during this time, including 2 more Americans, and humanitarian aid surged. We cannot conflate Hamas with the Palestinians. Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization. Hamas has vowed to repeat October 7th until Israel is annihilated. No nation could possibly live with such danger, which is why we support Israel's legitimate military objectives to eliminate the threat of Hamas. The United States is unequivocal. International humanitarian laws must be respected. Too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Frankly, the scale of civilian suffering and the images and videos coming from Gaza are devastating. As Israel pursues its military objectives in Gaza, we believe Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. So we all want this conflict to end as soon as possible. To ensure Israel's security and ensure security for the Palestinian people, we must accelerate efforts to build an enduring peace. And that begins with planning for what happens the day after the fight. We are beginning to engage partners in the region and around the world in these conversations. This has been a key priority over the last 8 weeks. 5 principles guide our approach for post-conflict Gaza. No forcible displacement, no reoccupation, no siege or blockade, no reduction in territory, and no use of Gaza as a platform for terror. We want to see a unified Gaza and West Bank under the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian voices and aspirations must be at the center of this program. But there must be also a regional consensus and summits. To that end, I had a number of in-depth conversations with Arab leaders there as well. Specifically, I proposed 3 areas. Number 1, reconstruction. The international community must dedicate significant resources to support short and long-term recovery in Gaza. For example, rebuilding hospitals and hospitals, restoring electricity and clean water, and ensuring that bakeries can reopen and be restored. Second, security. The Palestinian Authority security forces must be strengthened to eventually assume security responsibilities in Gaza. Then, there must be a security arrangement that are acceptable to the people of Gaza, the Palestinian Authority, and the international partners. And to reiterate, and this is very important, terrorists will not be permitted to continue to terror. Third, governance. The Palestinian Authority must be revitalized, driven by the will of the Palestinian people, which will allow them to benefit from the rule of law and a transparent, responsive government. Further, we have been clear. The Palestinians have a right to dignify and self-determination, and Israelis and Palestinians must enjoy equal measure of prosperity and freedom. They also deserve, all deserve, a sense of safety and security, and a two-state solution that remains the best path we wish towards a durable peace. The President and I are committed to that. In conclusion, when this conflict ends, Hamas cannot control Gaza, and Israel must be saved. Palestinians need a hopeful political horizon, economic opportunity and peace. And the region more broadly must be integrated and prosperous. And we must work towards that. Thank you.
Delegate of Palestine, to what point do you rise?
Motion to move into an open debate on this resolution.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, are there any objections to this motion? Seeing none, the motion is now in order. Delegates, we are now in open debate. Are there any delegates who wish to obtain the floor? Granted, delegate. You can have the floor for 3 minutes.
We cannot be accused of applying double standards that would weaken our support for Ukraine. On the contrary, we demand the same unity and consistency for Gaza as we do in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It is important for our citizens to understand that we have a consistent political stance and that there are no double standards. If we are telling our people that we support Ukraine because we defend international law, we must do the same for Gaza. If we demand respect for international law in Ukraine, we must demand it in Gaza as well. Israel's 9-month offensive has taken over 38,000 lives while injuring at least 88,000 others, while its tight blockade on food, water and aid shipments has resulted in famine conditions throughout Gaza, according to the UN and other international observers. According to Palestinian authorities, Israel has bombarded Gaza in an air and ground assault and severely restricted supplies of water, food, fuel to the 2.3 million residents of the territory. More than 14,500 people, including more than 6,000 children, have been killed in Israeli assaults on Gaza. It is in Israel's interest to work for peace, and today peace means the establishment of a viable Palestinian state that includes the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. We are a long supporter of Palestinian rights. Spain led the push towards recognition, hoping to be a pathway to peace and a two-state solution. The overall objective of the Spanish cooperation with the TTPP is the creation of a viable Palestinian state, mainly through the fight against poverty, economic and social development, the strengthening of state structures and institutions, and the support of society, civil, in the field of democratic values and peace building. The 5th meeting of the Joint Hispanic-Palestinian Commission for Cultural, Educational, Scientific and Technical Cooperation held in Madrid in January 2008 highlighted the Spanish commitment to a just and peaceful solution to the conflict under international law, as well as the creation of a sovereign and independent Palestinian state with recognized borders which coexist in peace and security with Israel, in accordance with the United Nations resolutions, the Mandate Peace Conference 1991 and the Arab Peace Initiative 2002. The partnership framework will continue and depend the development of public institutions, good governance, peace and security, gender equality, as well as social development and Palestinian economic stability, all in order to revalidate our commitment to the establishment of an independent and democratic Palestinian state. Thank you.
You can take a seat now. Delegates, we have now entertained the speeches for and against the resolution. Due to time constraints, we will be now moving into voting on this resolution. All delegates in favor of the resolution for stabilizing peace in Palestine, UNHRC/0101. All delegates in favor, please raise your placards now. All delegates against, please raise your placards now. Any delegates abstaining from voting on this resolution? Thank you, delegates. Due to overwhelming majority, this resolution now passes. And now the day's proceeding for UNHRC here closes.